Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the extremely goofy movie. It's an extremely goofy movie. This is a sequel to the original Goofy movie. It's from 2000, and it's an hour and 21 minutes long. And yeah, you have to understand this is a movie that is well into the Disney animation renaissance, which is mainly populated by princess movies, starting with Ariel and Beauty and the Beast, and all the Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, all those that came through there in the '90s. And this I was ready to write off simply because it had the word extreme in it. Like everything in the '90s, especially the late '90s, was extreme, and you had to, in order to get anybody's attention for some reason, it had to be extreme. Mountain Dew was extreme for some reason, and sometimes you just dropped off the E at the very beginning, and it was just extreme. The X-Men did that for a while, so the Extreme X-Men. So yeah, it looked like it. Just the title of this looked like it was a pandering move to fit to that era, to that I don't know what everybody was doing, and maybe it was, but I was wrong to discount it. I actually really like this movie a lot, and that may not be surprising to a lot of you who grew up with the Goofy movie and everything Goofy, him and his son Max, all those adventures. I did not, so I knew about it. I knew there was a huge fan following for these characters, and I was I was just never in the right place at the right time to really get into it. But I don't know if this is unique, as again, I haven't seen the original Goofy movie. Sorry. Or I think there's a Goofy series. I might be completely wrong. And I'm sure you're probably screaming at me right now if you're reading this and you're a big Goofy fan. And you're like, how could you not know? Sorry. I was totally into the princess movies instead. But yeah, this has its. You have to understand that when things like this come out and they're usually direct to video or they're maybe right in the Disney Channel, and they're not. Was this in the theaters? Maybe, I don't know. Oh, I honestly don't know. Maybe it was in the theaters for 10 minutes. I have no idea, but it's done differently. It's animated differently than the princess movies, obviously. It again focuses on a legacy Disney character, one of the original Fab Five, Six, whatever you want to call them. Goofy, obviously, but you're dealing with a Goofy who's grown up and has an adult child who's going off to college. Max is no longer a kid. And he's now heading out to college. And Goofy is so melancholy about this entire thing. He's all stressed out, and he's being a little overbearing to Max. And Max is just like, dude, just chill out, back off. I'm going to college. He's super excited about it because they're also doing the college X Games, which I think they even used the actual logo from the X Games and incorporated into the film. They may have gotten permission. I have no idea. But he's obviously that whole. I want to be grown up. I want to live on my own. I want to be with my friends. I want to meet girls and do all the college things. Goofy, as lovable as he is the eternal optimist. He's got a big heart, and he is in many ways completely naive in so many ways. How the man had a child and raised it, I have no idea. Especially as a single father, I don't know who the mom is, and maybe that's covered in the other films and the show or whatever. I have no idea, but he's not letting go easy. So he's driven to distraction to the point that where he can't even do his job. He puts together toys in a factory. It's totally blue collar, and he can't concentrate, and so he gets fired. And in order to, when he goes looking for a job, they tell him, "Oh, you can't really get a job unless you get a degree." So apparently, he said he hadn't been to college since the 70s, and they're like, well, you got to go back to college. So it's a whole back to school Rodney Dangerfield type of thing. But imagine if Rodney Dangerfield was not rich and also wasn't super ultra manipulative and just tried to do the best he could in every situation, and also wanted to be near his son. And that's Goofy. And of course, Max is mortified by that entire concept. He doesn't want his dad anywhere near him, especially when it comes to his social life, especially when it comes to the X Games championship that he's engaging in, and that Goofy sort of fails upward in when he gets in the way. Goofy also kind of meets a woman. He meets a woman. He's the librarian at the school, and she's played by B.B. Newirth. By the way, just so you know, I'm going to go down the list of names here. Bill Farmer plays Goofy. He's played Goofy for an eternity. He is Goofy, okay? So Jason Marsden plays Max, and we have a lot of other familiar names. Pete is played by Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, and so many others, including Hondo from Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. Brad Garrett plays Tank of the rival team of the X Games. Let's see. Sylvia is B.B. Newirth's character. She was on Frasier and originally Cheers as Frasier's ex-wife. Pauly Shore, of course, plays one of his buddy Bobby, who has one of the best lines in the entire show. And it's very meta. It's like, hey, you get the idea because he's played by Pauly Shore that this guy is high all the time, and he's just sitting in the cafe where they hang out. And he's just like, "Hey, you ever wonder why we all wear gloves?" And it's very Pauly, apparently very, very Bobby. But it's one of those great moments where you're just like, "Yeah, why is everybody wearing gloves? Who decides that they wear gloves?" Yeah, there's just so many other names. Cree Summer. It's a well-rounded cast. But one of my favorite things in this is that they use actual pop music. That, yes, you kind of figure it's going to be 2000 new metal or ska or something, and I think the background music is reminiscent of like third wave ska or whatever. It's got that kind of upbeat, horns and stuff like that. But for the most part, they lean on "My Future's So Bright, I Gotta Wear Shades" from the 80s, early 90s, but 80s, and the 70s, because when Goofy shows up at college, all he knows and how to look cool is to be in his like 70s attire, and he gets an afro and everything else. Like, he puts on an afro. It's not even his hair. He just figures it's cool to have a gigantic afro, which mortifies Max, of course. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but you get I'm basically setting up the whole conflict and the gist of this, because they use actual pop tunes from the 70s, disco and things like that. And one of the things I love most about this, beyond the music also, is the fact that how they animate the characters, how they animate how they move. And yes, Goofy is a train wreck, just his lanky form, and you love looking at him move. But when he dances, it's even better. And I get the feeling that they motion captured, in a sense, rotoscope and whatever else, actual people dancing the way they dance, the way he and Sylvia dance. He comes to the local club where all the kids are hanging out and gets them to change the record, and he steps out on the floor in a total Saturday Night Fever type way, and him and Sylvia just dance, and you're like, that's real people dancing. The references they used in order to animate this were real people. It wasn't just like, hey, let's draw this. The animation, I love the animation so much, and I didn't realize I would. I figured it was the kind of animation you just sort of phone in, where you're like, okay, we got the character styles, we know exactly how everything's going to lay out, and we'll put in some colorful backgrounds, and we're just going to dump this out and have fun with it. We don't really have to sell it because it's goofy. He's a known quantity. But they took it beyond that, and kudos to them. It's some of my favorite Disney animation that I've seen in a while, and there's so many different styles. There's so many things, especially amongst Pixar and everything else. And so much in the Disney animation right now, especially everything from Frozen and Onward and like I said, Pixar. The differences between Coco and The Incredibles. Even though they're all fairly made by the same group of people in different configurations, this animation is just astounding. If you watch it just for the dance club sequence, which then is kind of repeated again at the end where everybody gets to dance over the credits. So watch through the credits. Each of the characters get a little spotlight dance. It is absolutely worth watching just for the animated dancing. And as I'm looking here at my iPad, I'm seeing scenes flip by me, and I'm reminded of moments when Goofy is distraught at Max being gone, moments when he's trying to train, to focus, to get his grades up, and Sylvia's there, cheering him on, and just those little moments that are either sad or funny are made stronger by the animation that they include in this. It's just so freaking good. Maybe I'm just on happy pills. I have no idea, but it's worth it. It's worth taking the time to watch. This is an hour and 21 minutes, like I said, and it's so freaking good. The story is by the numbers. Yeah. It's you kind of know how it's going to go. In a broad strokes, Goofy's going to show up at school. He's going to mess with Max's life. Max is going to resent him. Goofy doesn't understand why he's being resented until he does, and it's even sadder. He starts screwing up all over the place because his relationship with Max is everything, and it breaks him. But he comes back. He knows what's right. And of course Max, he outdoes Max in skateboarding, which is Max's thing. But the extreme games have much more levels and much more different things. There's street luging and God knows what else. There's a bunch of stuff that they go through, where Max fights to retain the title against a guy. Okay, the guy's name is Bradley Uppercrust, which it's. He's the character you see in every college movie. I mean, it does follow the pattern of pretty much every college movie, fighting the upper crust to show that you're worthy and that you're not a lesser being in everybody's eyes. So yeah, it's that. It's a trope. I don't know. It's a story that you're not going to be completely surprised by, but how it's executed, how the characters are depicted. Goofy is great. Goofy is freaking awesome, but in this situation, you see more depth in the character than I've ever realized, than I've ever appreciated. I mean, I've seen all the old, not all of them, but I've seen a lot of the old stuff, but I've never really seen this Goofy, and the way they depict him he has a lot more depth and a lot more character, and I think that's the strength of this film, especially. I don't know about the other ones, but I imagine that they hold a common thread through them. They make Goofy like an extremely sympathetic character. For Donald Duck, one of my favorites, he's usually just super obnoxious and angry, and sometimes indecipherable half the times. But Goofy here is, the biggest heart out of all of them, even Mickey. And how they depict him in this, forget the whole extreme attitude and enjoy this film for what it is, for the characters and for the animation, and how it's note-perfect selection of music throughout. Sorry, I know I've blown a lot of time on this one. This is a long one. I never thought I'd really like this film. I think it'd be good. It'd be all right because there's a humongous following for these films, but I never thought it would be great. And I was wrong. Dead wrong. So, can the next thing we pick be as good? We're going to find out right now. 543. Wow, going to extremes. Something in my eye. 543. Sorry. Gonna wash my hands. 543. Wow, we have had 542 and 544, and we have yet to get 541, which all of them are connected because they are all Tangled. And this is Tangled, the series. So, I've seen the shorts. I've seen the Before Ever After, the little movie. But this is Tangled, the series that, yeah, it's that 2D animation version, not 3D of the original film. But from everything I've seen of the other ones, I think I'm going to enjoy this. We're going to only watch a few episodes, maybe 3 or 4, maybe, depending on how many there are. Maybe I'll just blow through an entire season. I have no idea how many there are. But we'll see. We'll come back here tomorrow and we'll talk about it. The Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you tomorrow.